Good evening, everybody. Welcome to a most unusual Filbert Flies stream. Unusual in that I'm not doing any flying for the first time ever on this channel. And instead, we are joined by Mathijs Kok from Aerosoft, who is here to talk a little bit about their North Sea project, which is being developed at the moment, and also to answer your questions about all things Aerosoft. So, Mathijs, thank you very much for joining us. Welcome to the channel.
Thank you for having me.
Pleasure. And I wondered if you'd like to start. I imagine most people here know exactly who you are, but perhaps if we could start just by you introducing yourself, telling us a little bit about what you do at Aerosoft, just in case there's any new people.
Okay. I've been working for Aerosoft for, it seems like decades, and it actually is decades. I run the internal flight sim development teams, and I am the manager of the customer support department. And so the developers make the issues, and my other staff has to fix them.
Quite an involved job, I imagine.
Yes.
Yeah. So those of you who are eagle-eyed will notice that in the background we have an image from a video that I didn't create, someone else at Aerosoft did. There's some fantastic helicopter flying there. And this video is going to show the current state of this North Sea project that you're currently working on. What made you decide on the North Sea, and what exactly is it?
Yeah, we seem to have an audio issue.
So I see.
Anything you know about that?
Probably. I think that might have solved it. We'll keep going, see if that's better.
Okay. What people don't understand is that the North Sea is not a bit of sea, but it's the largest industry park in the whole world at this moment. At this very moment, I have to take a little bit of documentation here. There's 13 billion euros in wind farms active on the North Sea, and the same amount, 30 billion euros, in oil and gas infrastructures. And in 2030, that number is going to rise to 150 billion euros. And in 2050 to 350 billion euros. The wind
staggering.
Energy from the North Sea will provide around 75% of all the electricity for the countries that that are building there. It's 500,000 people industry. The only thing that is obvious is that we don't see it, because you and we never go out to where all this work is done.
No, it's a whole hidden world, isn't it? Yeah.
And so we decided to do a project that places every single object on the North Sea, or we also cover a little bit north of the North Sea and the Irish Sea. So it's a little bit larger. Every single object that's there, from a buoy to every wind turbine that's there, to fishing ships.
Good
and
grief.
in the video you see the ships that we are placing there.
And how do you know what's out there? How do you know where all the buoys are, where all the platforms and wind turbines are?
This project is completely driven by databases. We managed to find, in months of work, to get all the databases that have all this stuff. Some of it is for free. Some of it is very expensive stuff that you have to buy. For example, we bought a database that has the location of every ship on the North Sea, every single ship, at a certain moment. And so we place all these ships, the ships that you see here, they are placed so we can actually work with them. But they will all be placed exactly where the ships were at a certain moment. So there's no random placement. It's all exactly.
That is amazing. That is incredible. So nothing like this has really been done, as far as I'm aware, in a sim before. So this is all new territory, right, for you?
Yes, as far as we know, there's no other project who's ever tried anything like this.
Yeah. Yeah. Jackson, thank you very much for the £1 super chat and information after. It's going very well, thank you. Rodrigo says, I wonder how long did this take to make? I'm curious about that as well.
I have been working on it for I think 5-6 months.
Okay.
The developer Christian has been working on it for the last 2-3 months.
That's phenomenal. That's phenomenal. So we're going to get all of these objects all placed in their exact locations in the North Sea. One of the questions that came in on Discord earlier on was, will you be including any missions or challenges or flight plans or anything like that to help people explore what is a really vast area?
No, we will not include missions. What we will do is that we'll be working with the companies that make the add-ons that let you do missions. We share the database with them, so they can include those in the database. And for instance, the on-air project will have dozens of missions. Okay. There will be over 500 new helipads.
Nice.
So we will triple the amount of places where you can land a helicopter in this project.
Where some people can land a helicopter. Personally, I need a very large field, but yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Awesome. Good practice. And finally, a reason to fly helicopters as well, which we don't really have at the moment. So what makes this different from building an airport or something like that? Are there new challenges? Are there new techniques you're using, or is it like a massive airport that's spread out over a long distance?
No, it is absolutely different. Right. By the way, if you see that little blue ship that looks incredibly high, that's a small fishing vessel, and it's built that way because you have to pay tax on the length of the ship. So these fishermen make these ships extremely high, extremely tall.
Right. That's fascinating. That is fascinating.
No, it's not like an airport for many reasons. The biggest reason is that we don't actually make these objects. We actually buy these objects, like most game developers do these days. Okay. So we buy the objects, we convert them. If you want to do the ship that you see now in front of you, that's a ship with 3 million polygons.
Jesus, right.
If you would build that is, for a single modeler, that is about 5 to 6 months work to do that single ship. So that's why we don't build them. It's also why you get that incredible amount of detail.
Yeah.
In the ship.
So who's making these models? Who's got this big library of ships that you can buy from?
There are sites on the internet where you can simply buy them.
Right. Okay.
And these are made for games or professional use. That red ship that you see, that's actually made for the company that actually operates the ship. It's what's called a flotel. It's a floating hotel. So it's a ship where the people who work on the construction site go each evening, and they've got a hotel room, they've got bars, gymnasiums, swimming pools.
Well, I didn't know such things existed. That's amazing. That is amazing.
Yeah, the working conditions on these sites is getting an awful lot better.
Good.
What you see now in the picture are a few tankers. Those are Panamax tankers.
Okay.
Panamax means that there are the maximum size that the Panama Canal can handle.
Ah, right. Okay.
So we
And
actually buy all these models and then use database files to actually place them.
right. Okay.
So
Okay.
that means that we can do the whole project with a small team, which are
Yeah.
uh, actually like to do because it makes the whole thing a lot easier,
Yeah.
faster,
Yeah. Yeah.
and we can get the project out in shorter time.
Yeah. Makes sense. Makes sense. And talking of a shorter time, somebody did ask earlier on when can we expect to see it?
We should be in the beta in September, so ideally I would say October, but do not pin me on any date.
No. Fine. Fair
If
enough.
I mention any date on the stream, ignore me.
Yes, okay. Everyone who is asking about other things besides the server, we will come to you. GA Enthusiast, I've made a note of your question. Information Alpha, we will be speaking about the A330 very shortly. So yeah, the way this is going to go, I probably should have explained this at the beginning, is we're going to talk about this add-on for a little bit. Then we will move on to a more general Q&A. In which you are welcome to ask whatever you like. And then if there are bits of the video that are particularly pertinent or that Mathijs would like to talk about, we'll pause the questions, come back to them after we've discussed it. So yeah, but before we move on to the general question, is there anything else you'd like to say in general about this project?
Every year I try to do one project that is out of the standard to see what is possible. In this case, it is to see what the sim can do. Can the simulator handle 5.5 million polygon objects? You will see it later. And we are blown away by what the sim can actually handle.
Yeah.
If you put the object out at sea where it's not competing with ground textures, the sim can handle complexity like no other game engine we've ever seen. That game engine that we're using is absolutely bloody amazing.
That's fantastic. So you're pushing the sim to its limit, and so far it's proving very successful, and you're surprised by how much it can handle.
Yes, in total, because all these objects are so complex, and because, for instance, the empty container ship you see below will be used a few times, we are getting an amount of polygons in total for the project, which is something like 700 million.
Yeah.
It could be reaching a trillion, and that is hundreds of times larger than any other project that I know of. And the impact on frame rate is nothing. What you see here is 60 frames on a moderate system.
That's
Absolutely,
amazing.
there's no issue whatsoever.
That's amazing. Information Alpha asks about the impact on performance of moving objects of high detail. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think these ships move, do they?
No, that was... There will be some moving objects in it. But if you have a moving object in the sim, it becomes much harder to add a lot of detail.
Right.
And it makes it nearly impossible to actually land a helicopter on it. So we decided to make most of these objects a static object, but there will be a wake behind the ship. So it actually appears if it's moving. And if you're flying an aircraft, you will not see if a ship is static or if it's moving.
Right, okay. Yeah.
So
makes
from
sense.
the visual point of view, you will never notice it.
No. Okay, that's fantastic. Rodrigo, how much have you spent on the game at the moment? Do you mean on the development of this particular add-on, Rodrigo, or are you asking me?
I'm not going to answer that.
No, I thought you might not. So will the scenery be dynamic? For example, the ship changes according to the timetable. No, I think that's been answered. These are static ships, and yeah.
All these ships are placed in a location where they were at a given moment. In this case, it is the 19 January 2022.
Right.
So that means that every ship is at a location that is logical.
Yeah. Okay.
Hold on, I see a question about military ships.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask.
They will not. I have to be careful here. Microsoft does not want to have military stuff in the sim. So most certainly, if you buy it on the marketplace, there will be no military ships in it.
Cool. Fair enough. Right. Shall we move on to some more general questions and then?
No.
No. Okay. Carry on.
The ship that we're heading to at this moment, you see two of them. That is a bit fake because there's actually only one of that ship. It's the Pioneer Spirit. It is a ship that costs $2 billion. And it is used to lift. It is one of the biggest ships in the world. It is used to lay oil and gas pipelines, but it can also be configured to lift complete oil rigs from their, how they called, the
seabed
pylons.
Pilings? Yeah.
And when they configure the ship from laying pipe to lifting pylons, that operation cost $200 million.
Wow.
And that ship has an operating cost of around 2 million euros a day. That is the kind of cost, the scale of the operations we are.
That's phenomenal. A couple of people asking if the cranes were moving on these ships.
The cranes on these ships are moving. Of course, if the ships are not stationary, they will not move.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. That is a phenomenal sum of money to convert that ship between its two uses. Nice. Very, very impressive model, I must say. You tell me, Mathijs, would you like to answer some other questions yet, or is there more coming up that you want to focus on?
If there's an interesting ship, we will mention it, but anything else, hit me.
Okay, right. Some H145 skills on display, absolutely. I'm seriously impressed by this flying.
Yeah, that's done by one of our testers. He's called Ole, and he is an oil field worker. We've got many people who actually work on the oil fields. They're helping us.
Oh, awesome. Right, so first question, a bit generally about Aerosoft from one of the people on my Discord. How do you pick which add-ons to develop? Do you mostly look at what's popular, or do you pick what your team would like to see or have expert knowledge of?
Okay, first of all, our internal development teams are, we've got around 4 of them on the flight sim stuff. Most of the products we sell are made by other companies, and they make their own decision of what they want to do. Okay. For the internal stuff, I have a large say in what's done, and I always try to go for the little bit more exotic stuff in parts like this project, or in projects that we've got a lot of experience with, like the Airbus one and the Twin Otter. The Airbus is the 5th version, and the Twin Otter is the 4th version that we do.
Right. Okay. So it is largely down to, well, certainly for the internal project, it's largely down to what you're interested in and what you think you can do well. That's
yeah, but it's really based on what we believe that the market wants at that.
Yeah.
We are a company that I dare say everybody who works at Aerosoft in the flight sim business loves flight sim, but we have to make money, and these are commercial things that we do.
Yeah, of course. How long ago? How long's Aerosoft been going? It's existed for as long as I have been into flight sim, which is longer than I care to remember. So,
we celebrated our 30 years last year.
Good grief! There can't be many companies who have been in the industry for that long. It's impressive.
I think there is one that's older.
Okay. Right, what do we have next? A few questions about the CRJ.
Sure.
If you wouldn't mind. So the first one is, will the CRJ autopilot receive an overhaul or a revision? It can be pretty inconsistent and has a number of bugs, like doubling waypoints or nosediving, then flattening out, then nosediving again during a VNAV descent, and the LNAV still on occasion struggles to make tight turns and that sort of thing.
Yeah. Not an easy question to answer. Yes, the project is absolutely not closed. We released an update, I think 3 or 4 weeks back, and there are more updates coming. What people not always understand is that this is not an Airbus. I'm not saying that the systems could not be done better, but we have a lot of people who are comparing far more modern aircraft to the CRJ. Certainly some of the systems have issues with handling things. If people send us these issues, the first thing we do is ask the partners that assist us if they have ever flown that thing in real life. Because we often see that in real life it's also not an easy procedure to do. But no, it is not a closed project.
Good. That's good to hear. So more to come from that. I am taking note of your questions, and I'm sorry if I'm missing some of your hellos. It's lovely to see you all. What I'm going to try and do is, when I see a question that I think will be covered later on, is I'm making a note of it with the help of Scott. Thank you for your help with that. He's posting them in the Discord for me, and I will try and ask them an opportune moment. But we're focusing on the CRJ for now.
Now, can you explain the object that we're flying to now?
Yes, please. Well, I can't, but you can.
That yellow thing. Every large wind farm has one of these objects. It's where all the cables connect, where the power is converted from a low voltage to a high voltage, and then sent to the shore. You see another one there. That's a slightly smaller version. They all have helipads where you can land on. People think that a wind farm is just the wind
turbines,
but there are these kind of structures around it, buoys around it. In our projects, you will see maintenance being done on these turbines.
Okay.
Let's move on.
Fantastic. Okay. I'm going to squeeze this one in here because I think I know the answer to it. It's from Mr. Dillon. Had a question for Mr. Kok here, which is, will we eventually see the A330 for P3D updated with all the engine variants as promised in the beginning?
No.
P3D is done?
It is best that we are open and honest about this. We know there are a lot of P3D customers. We've got a lot of FSX customers. But the simple fact is they don't invest in their sims anymore. From a commercial point of view, these projects are closed. If there is an easy way that we can export some of the stuff we do for Microsoft Flight Sim to prepare it, we will do it. Keep in mind that the last update for the CRJ, most of that was also released for the Prepared 3D version, and that's only weeks ago. But for projects that are started almost completely from new, I don't expect it. People should not count on it. If it happens, it will happen.
Okay, great. Good to know. Good to be clear. Back to the CRJ. What is the ETA for a weather radar for the CRJ now that the API will be available for its use in SimUpdate 10?
The moment the update is available, you can start counting.
Great, that's very promising. Very promising. Fantastic.
Hold on, I'm not saying if you can count hours, days, weeks, or months. But no, it's... No. Let me put it this way. I have seen it in an image, so it is possible. We are just not, until Sim Update 10 is done, is out, only at that moment we can say what it is. Right. By the way, the ships that you see below you, these very weird looking ships, those are the ships that bringing cars from the factories in the Far East.
Ah, right, interesting.
Those are the most ugly ships that you will ever see.
Yeah, they are.
They are horrible.
No grace at all.
No, none at all.
Any plans to add a terrain radar? This is in reference to the CRJ as well, but generally, you know.
No, I've got no information on that. No, none.
Okay. Do you have any plans to develop a classic CRJ? A lot of airlines are still flying the 200, for example.
Nothing I can mention.
Okay.
And do not take that as a sign that we're working on it. It's just that we do not comment on projects that we don't do.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Okay, has anyone else got anything to ask about the CRJ while we're on it? That's all I've got from beforehand. Nick, yes, I have noted your question. Scott sent it to me. We're coming on to scenery later, so I shall ask it. Since does that mean that you're only focusing on creating products on SimUpdate 9, then waiting until SimUpdate 10 to see the compatibility? And if issues occur, fix them when the stable version is out?
SimUpdate 10 is a pretty big one as far as we can see. So I would expect a lot of updates being released, not only from us, also from other companies, shortly after SimUpdate 10 is done. There's a lot being held back at this moment.
Right. Fair enough. Fair enough. A couple of questions about the Twin Otter now. In fact, one question really about the Twin Otter, unless anyone in the chat has anything more to say about it. Broadly speaking, what, if any, updates do you have planned for it?
Well, first of all, I've got an envelope of money on my desk. If somebody has a Twin Otter, we can do a sound going on. But apart from that, there are a few updates that we would like to do at the end of the year. Nothing major. A big step will be to have it released on the Xbox platform.
Okay.
Because that's an aircraft that will do extremely well on that platform. And that is, before we see that working, when we see that working, we will know what we can add, what we can change.
Sure. Sorry for the forwarding. What I mean to say is that are you basing your future products that are in development on the SimUpdate 10 beta to see if they're compatible, or using the SimUpdate 9 version?
No, I'm just saying that SimUpdate 10 is a large update, and we have the impression that Microsoft is releasing these updates slower than before, doing more tests on them, which we all know is a good thing.
Yes, very much.
Because we all know we all need a platform that is as stable as possible. So I would think that, like I said, after SimUpdate 10 is released, I think you will see from a lot of companies, a lot of updates.
Right. Okay. Oggy would like to know if there's any idea, if you have any idea, when the CRJ will arrive on Xbox.
It's being worked on. That's all I can say.
Okay. A330 is the next topic. First question is one word. When?
This year.
This year.
Yes.
Great. Good enough for me. I'm very much looking forward to that one. And which?
Hold on. Can I explain
Yes.
the ship that
Please
you're seeing in front of you now?
Yeah.
That is a pipe layer. It's not a cable layer, but it lays large bits of pipe. You see the pipes on the deck there. That large crane holds it to the back of the ship. There's a chute that guides it down to the seabed. These ships are very common on the North Sea at this moment.
You've learned a lot about ships developing this, Adam, haven't you? Or were you already something of an expert?
I have learned a lot about ships. Yes, yes.
Yeah, interesting stuff there. Right, Scar Stitches, related question. A330 related question. Where will the A330 fall between your CRJ and Asobo's A320 in terms of systems fidelity, knobs, switches working, etc.? Because I know he mentioned before that it won't be study level. So yeah, what level is it pitched at? It's quite an interesting one.
After close to 30 years in this business, I've still got no idea what a study level aircraft is. It's certainly not what real pilots would call a study level aircraft. No, it will be more to the CRJ standard. Like with all our aircraft, we really don't care about stuff that happens very, very rarely. We care about the standard operation, what the pilots use 99% of the time. So that allows us to limit what we add to the project. It keeps the price down, it keeps the frame rates up. We are not interested in the super high-end stuff. We will never do €100 add-on. Just not what we do.
Okay. So no failure simulation, no emergency simulation.
No.
But a pretty solid flight model and not too many switches that can't be clicked. Is that a fair summary?
I think that every switch can be clicked, but if a switch has a function that has nothing to do, that you can't use in the sim, then you can click it, but it does not make sense.
Yeah.
Keep in mind that click zone in the sim is extremely frame rate intensive.
Okay.
So people who do demand that every single switch works, do not look at the screen now. The helicopter is going to touch the sea.
Yes, I saw. It's all right. The rest of the flying is so impressive. We can allow him that.
Yes.
Another good question from Information Alpha. In terms of, will the A330 have any more depth in terms of modelling and systems compared with the P3D version? What are the main differences between the two versions?
No, it will be roughly the same.
Roughly the same. And
hold on, that platform that you see here, that is a 5.5 million polygon object. We were sure that it would never work in the sim, and as you can see, frame rates are fine. I have to say that the frame rates are getting hit here, but it is stupidly complex. There's extremely small stuff, stairways and everything. This was the object that we thought would break the sim, and it doesn't break the sim.
That is seriously impressive. And yeah, you say the frame rate's dropped, but it's it's perfectly flyable, isn't it? It's not.
Oh yeah,
stuttering.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I think from the standard 60, it went to 45 here.
Right.
And that single object is more complex than the complete Brussels airport is.
No way.
It is in fact 3 times as complex as the complete Brussels airport is.
That is amazing.
That's what
Absolutely
sim can handle.
Yeah. And there's never, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but there's never been a sim that can handle anything like this level of detail.
I don't know any game engine that can do this.
Really, any game engine?
For our non-flight sim stuff, we're using every other game engine, and we've never seen anything like this. Never.
Amazing. Right, so I'm just going to go back. I spotted a CRJ question here. Captain Robbie would like to know if there's a fix coming to the thing which requires you to right and then left click the mouse to enable the barrow, the heading direction, etc. Is it even a bug or is it a feature? I don't know.
No, it is. The user interface will be changed to the modern one to make it compatible with Xbox. Mm-hmm. But as a developer, if you want to make your add-ons compatible with PC, cloud and Xbox, you've got no options but to use the modern one.
Yeah. Okay, cool. What kind of motors, what kind of engines will the A330 have? This is something that's been asked a few times. What variants will be available at release and with which engine options?
We will start with the Rolls-Royce Trent engine. That's the most used one.
Okay. And you say that you'll start with that. That implies that there will be other variants to come. Is that the case?
That implies that it's not impossible that we add other versions.
Right, okay.
It's not a trivial task.
No, I'm sure it's not.
It means that your complete flight model has to change, the fly-by-wire has to change, the displays have to change, fuel burn has to change. It is months of work to add a second engine.
Yeah, okay. Okay, fair enough. So it hasn't been ruled out, but nothing confirmed yet. Will it have connected flight deck like the P3D version had?
No.
It won't. Okay.
No, not at this moment. We prefer to wait until Microsoft offers a standard solution for that, for us to actually create a solution is not the best way of doing things.
No, and there is one in the works, we believe, isn't there, from Asobo? It's been talked about anyway.
Yes, from a gameplay point of view, I believe that multi-cockpit is something that is a big deal for Microsoft. It would make a lot of sense.
Yes, yeah, it would. Scott, you would like to know if there are plans for the Offshore Industries add-on to be expanded with more models in the future. And I'd add to that more areas, perhaps.
Yes, the North Sea is by far, with a huge margin, the most densely populated area, not only in wind farms and oil and gas and ships, but also in fishery. But there are other areas which are interesting for us. The Gulf of Mexico, for instance, one. There's a lot of customers that we have living close to that. It's a little bit different because it's deep water, and the North Sea is completely shallow water. So the floating oil and gas stuff, is in the Gulf of Mexico. We're also looking at covering rivers.
Okay, that'd be cool.
For instance, we've got databases which have every ship on the Rhine at the same, from the same date that we have all data for the ships on the North Sea. So we can put every ship on the Rhine at the exact location it should be.
Right,
so,
okay.
Let's just see what's happening.
Yeah.
By the way, you see that ship that we're coming up to in front. That's sailors call that a stink ship. It's a live cattle carrier. So it carries pigs, cows, and all these kind of things. And if you notice that the living quarters are all at the back of the ship, almost hanging outside the ship, that's because of the smell of all those animals.
Do you know, I never even knew livestock was transported by sea. I have no idea.
In their millions.
Yeah.
Mostly from Europe to the Middle East.
Right, okay.
That is the kind of ships that you see at sea.
Yeah. Yeah, amazing. Hello, Martin. Welcome. Scars Stitches would like to know what your favourite aircraft is to fly in the sea.
The Twin Otter. And
Twin Otter.
another one that has not been announced yet, not by us, from another company.
Okay.
I'm personally not into flying the bigger things.
No, fair enough.
If I would have a Catalina in Microsoft Flight Sim, that would be my favorite aircraft.
Yeah, that is a beautiful plane. I've got a couple of questions about the A350, which I know you haven't said much about at all, nothing about, except that we don't have the data to do it. But I'm going to ask them anyway, because I think there's a lot of people who would be very interested in an A350 add-on. And the first question is, you've mentioned the problem of not being able to get hold of the data you would need to produce an accurate one. Firstly, do you think this would ever change? And secondly, would you ever consider doing a sort of best guess version, considering how in demand the aircraft would be?
Poof. That's not an easy question to answer.
No.
Without help from Airbus, I believe that an A350 will be almost impossible. Let me explain. For A330, A320, you've got tables that predict fuel flow, sink weight, and all these kind of things. And you can build your flight model based on that. For the A350, that stuff is not available easily, legally, I should even say. So you would have to get real pilots to actually fly all these profiles. And while we have very friendly people to help us, I don't think that that's a thing you can ask them.
No, okay.
So it is very difficult.
Yeah. So your view then, correct me if I'm wrong with my interpretation of what you're saying. Your view is that you cannot get access to the data you need to do it accurately, legally, and you don't feel that you could ask real A350 pilots to provide you with that information because that would be a bit unfair on them. And
in fact, most of the pilots that work on the A320 and the A330 projects with us, a lot of them are flying the A350 now. So we've got access to the pilot data, but the pilots don't have that information. The computer on board of the aircraft has that information. They plug in what they want the aircraft to do, and it will do it. But how that ends up, how that will behave in slightly different circumstances, the circumstances that we need to build the flight model in, that is not there.
No. Okay. And do you know why it isn't there? Is it because Airbus are afraid of it being stolen and their proprietary secrets getting out into the public domain? Why are they so open with the data for the A320 but not for the A350?
I don't think that they are open with the A320 and A330. It's just that it was all on paper, and if something is if an aircraft is used for a few decades and all the information is on the paper, it will be open.
Yeah.
By the way, the ship that you see now is I believe it's called a tender. That's a ship that brings people to the wind turbines.
Okay.
And this is a ship that you will be able to actually use in a sim. You can use it to actually sail from one place
Oh wow!
to another place.
I had no idea that was part of this. That
Yeah,
is
only from the
exciting.
outside.
Okay. Yeah. Actually, I'm going to ask this now because I'm writing too many things down, not asking enough questions. Numa would like to know what the future is for simple traffic. Do you have plans to give it aircraft models and expand upon it, or will it stay in its current form?
No, we don't have plans to add aircraft models. If you seek that, I would advise you to look at Just Flight FS traffic, which is not far from being released as far as I know. That will have that kind of stuff.
Yes, yeah.
It will be far more demanding on memory and the frame rate, but it will have that. Simple traffic is, as the name says, we want to keep it simple.
Simple, yeah.
We want to get as many airlines in it as possible. By the way, on the screen now, you see tankers that are docked to these yellow things. They pump up the oil from the oil platforms and transport it into the tankers. The one that you see there is a floating one. The one next to it, you will see in a few moments better. That is a standing one. They are used an awful lot. So the oil rigs, they pump up the oil, they store the oil, and then the tankers will come and they get the oil from these kind of things.
Right. Oh, that's interesting. Numa would like to pass on. Thanks to you for answering that. Will there be marine ships in the sea? I assume you mean military ships, Nick. And the answer to that is no. That was asked a little bit earlier on.
Perhaps only on the version that we can.
That's right.
Certainly not on the version on Marketplace.
Yeah. It is odd. Someone mentioned this when we were discussing it earlier. It is odd that Microsoft have a number of military aircraft carriers and things in the marketplace. They're reluctant for this.
That could very well be. As far as I know, there are no weapons on them. There are no missiles on them.
That's true. Yeah.
And that's a thing that I simply do not want.
Yeah.
Which is fine. Which I completely agree with. I think it's an excellent choice, actually, because they're building a platform, and any kind of controversy you should not seek.
Yes. For. Alex, I think we sort of covered your question about proprietary software, so I won't ask that. But if there's anything else you'd like to add about the A350, let us know. I know you're in the chat here. Moving on then to the A320 series, and do feel free to ask questions about any of the topics we've covered in the chat. We can go back to them. It's not over. Have you decided on a release order yet for your A320 series?
No. The A330, we work on the A330. What happens after that, I don't actually know.
No, okay. I'm gonna put in a plea from myself, really, but also from a number of people I've spoken to. I think many of us would be a lot more excited by something that isn't an A320. I know your market is largely Xbox, and they don't have the range of A320s that we have.
No, hold on. Our market is not. We are not aimed at Xbox. It's just a market that you can't ignore these days.
Yeah.
The problem with the A320 is that the fly-by-wire version that is out is damned good. It is simply very good. It's developed all the time by a large group of very talented people. Mm-hmm. I call many of them friends of mine. We talk an awful lot, There's no problem between us. But doing an A320 is not easy if you have to compete with a freeware product that is good.
No.
That is simply the reason that we are hesitant to announce anything.
Yeah, I get that.
If we would do something in the A320 range, it will be perhaps one of the newer long-range versions.
Good.
That is something that is not been done.
Yeah.
The ship you see in front of you is the one that places the pylons on the seabed where the wind turbines are placed on. Also a massive ship. It's the size of these things is incredible.
Yeah, it is. It is. So potentially then an A321 XLR, which would be my favourite, but also potentially an A319. Those things may come before the A320 itself. You haven't ruled that.
It's not that I'm not willing to say, but it is that we simply do not know.
Yeah. Yeah, sure.
We're working on the A330 now. We've got some other projects that can't be mentioned. We have to see the market changes every month. So it is open. We've got the people, we've got the knowledge, we've got the money, but we don't know what we'll do.
Sure. Information Alpha, we haven't got an A340 section, so we'll ask this now. Is there a specific answer why Aerosoft won't consider the A340 even though the data is out there? There was a successful A340 for X-Plane, but is it because you think there just isn't a demand?
I think that demand for A340 is not very high. I think that is the main reason.
Yeah.
Customers buy the aircraft that they see, the aircraft they go to on the holiday in, and the A340 is not the aircraft that will be very large in the future. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, fair enough.
On the screen at this moment you see a jack-up ship placing a wind turbine blade. This is one of the biggest things that we'll cover in the projects, the construction sites, because there are, I believe in the database there are 60 of these jack-up ships, 60, and they're all working on these wind farms at the moment.
That is amazing.
And it's all in the bit of sea between Belgium, Holland, Germany, Denmark and the UK, where a lot of our customers are, where a lot of people fly. So you will actually see these things if you're flying at cruise altitude.
Yeah, that's phenomenal. That is such a good scene that you've created there. Really nice. There was something about Simple Traffic. Yes, Generic Pilot 1 would like to know what happened to Simple Traffic on Xbox. Was available for 1 week, then became PC only.
Okay. Simple Traffic was offered to Microsoft to release on Xbox. The problem is that we've got at this moment no way to test add-ons on Xbox.
Right.
There's simply no way that we can actually see the product working before it is released. We were not expecting problems, but it turned out there were issues. So we asked Microsoft to remove it from the Xbox compatible section. And we are discussing the issues that we have with Microsoft.
Okay.
There are some other senior products that we had to remove from the Xbox compatible section.
Right. Okay. So no dates, but it's something you would like to do as and when it becomes possible, right?
It's not in our hand.
Yeah. No. Okay.
So it's not for us to actually say.
Yeah. Fair enough. I'm going to start the video again. I don't know how long you've got, Mathijs, but there are a few more questions.
Sure. I'm here.
Okay, great. Let me
But
just
if you
see.
allow me to fill my glass of wine for
Yeah, please do.
2 minutes.
Yeah, no worries. No worries. While he's gone, I will just say thank you all for being here and for asking your questions. And if I have missed any, my apologies. There are some that have already been answered, as Scott says. We've already had an answer to your one, Oggy. Captain Robbie, you're very welcome. I'm glad you've enjoyed it. Yeah, and we've answered the one about selecting airports to be developed. Yeah, I've got a few more in the Discord. Thank you in particular to you, Scott and Alex, and all of the mods for helping out with highlighting things. Yeah, that's a nice one to go back to, Max. Yeah, I did see that, and I forgot to note it down. Mathijs, how did you get into flight simming, and what made you start Aerosoft, if indeed it was you who was there at the beginning?
No, first of all, it's absolutely not me who started into Airsoft. I simply work for Airsoft. It's Winfried Diekman, my CEO, who started the company. How I started in flight sim, I will sound really old now. The Tandy color computer. Yeah,
Right.
most people have to Google that, but we
Yeah.
are talking, I believe, 40 years back now. That had a flight simulator P51, and that was my first experience with flight sim. And aircraft always interested me. I had my pilot's license before I had my driver's license.
Oh, right.
So it was kind of logical that I was interested in aviation on a PC because the whole IT scene interested me as well. It was my work in a hospital, the digitalization of the X-ray department. I worked on that for 20 years, and that was very high-end computer, which were perfect to run my flight sims on.
So do you still fly in real life as well, or have you stopped doing it?
No.
Oggy, we sort of had an answer to this. We may have had a full answer. Forgive me, Mathis, if I've missed it. I might have been writing something down. Problems on Xbox. We know that you can't. That you've got no way of testing things on Xbox. But is there a specific solution you need from Microsoft besides that?
Difficult question. No, we don't know at this moment. If you ask me to guess, I would say it is the limited amount of memory that could create issues.
Okay.
On a PC, you've got the internal memory and the graphics memory, and with most users, the combine will be over 20 gigabytes at this moment, and
Right.
the Xbox doesn't have that. Now the Xbox can handle its memory better, and there have been in the last few days news about some updates about that. But if you ask me to guess, I would say it is the lack of memory that could create issues.
Okay.
But at this moment, we simply don't know. The moment we get the information, we can actually work with it, and
Yeah.
we'll see.
Okay.
The communications with Microsoft are excellent. They are really nice people who stand behind their sim, which is super nice.
Yeah. It would be very hard if that wasn't the case. It's good to hear that it is. Those planes are definitely coming to Xbox, I presume, says Oggy, referring to the Twin Otter and the CRJ.
Every product we do except from on air, is intended to be released on Xbox.
Cool. Okie dokie. So yes, there's been a couple of questions in the chat about Embraers, and I've had a question from one of my community in Discord as well about this. Would you consider doing more regional jets like the Embraers or an A220?
Yes.
Yes. Good.
And that's all I can say.
Okay, that's enough. That's enough. I've made a note of your Antarctica thing. In fact, we can ask that now. We're coming on to scenery. Someone asked which MSFS airports will be maintained and updated with VDGS.
All the aircraft that we are responsible for will have it. All the teams that use us as a publisher will have access, and every other developer who wants to have access can simply contact us. It's not something that we intend to make a lot of money on. It's a simple license, so it's available to everybody.
Everyone. So all Aerosoft airports will get it. Everyone who publishes through you will have the option to use it.
Yes.
And everyone else have the option to license.
Yes.
Okay. Cool. Yes, Packled Hostage. Any plans to do Antarctica Volume 2?
Yeah, that's a project done by Sascha Dongerman, a very old friend of mine. The first version was commercially a huge success, which is very strange, but I always said that in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020, the weird stuff can be a success. So I'm pretty sure that he will do a second version.
Cool.
I know he's working on some other stuff at this moment, but personally I would love it. Flight simulation is about expanding your world, and Amsterdam, Schiphol and Brussels and Heathrow are all fine, but we all know that. And in Prepare 3D, those are the biggest products. But in Microsoft Flight Simulator, which is so much more visual, so much more, it has so much more options to show you how small aviation works.
Yeah.
Antarctica with its weather, it simply works.
Yeah. I have to say, this is the first sim where I've ever had any desire to do VFR. For that very reason, it's the first time you've actually been able to see the world, and it's eye-opening, it really is. So yes, good to hear about Antarctica. I've got a few questions that have been coming up about will you make X airports? So I'm going to rattle them off now. The first three: Madrid, Barcelona, Amsterdam, Schiphol. Do you have any plans to do those?
Nothing we can announce. Internally, we don't have any plans for these airports. If one of our external development teams like Simwings or something makes that airport, we will gladly sell it.
Okay, interesting. So thank you. Will you ever do an Emma Field type add-on for MSFS with seasonal sounds and animations like the original did? Forgive me, I don't know what Emma Field is, but it's obviously something you've done.
Yeah. I would love to. It was one of my favorite projects. Emma Field was a fictional airport. Right. It was based on these American small airports where people buy a house with a hangar and a bay. So they would design their own house, put a hangar next to the garage and store their own aircraft in there. So we had that airport built. We basically built the outline of the airport and then let people build their own house on it. So that was their place in Flight Sim, the place
Oh,
where
wow.
the place that they called home in Flight Sim. Yeah, it was commercially not a big success, but the community is still working. There's still a virtual Emmerfield airline. My daughter still hates the fact that I named an airport after her.
Why? She should be honoured.
I don't know.
Right, a sort of a broader question about scenery. We're already seeing updated graphics and elements in MSFS. We haven't seen anything this good in other sims. Is there still room for even more improved textures and so on?
Yeah, as we've shown in the images that you see on your screen at this moment, if it's done correctly, if you use the complete level of detail options that Microsoft offers, level of detail means that you see a more complex object the closer you get to it. Every object that you see on screen here has at least 6 levels of detail. So if you fly 10 miles out and you look at this complete collection of objects, which will have something like 40 million polygons, you will only see a simplified version of it, but keep the frame rate high. If every scenery developer starts to use decals, which is the modern way of doing high detailed textures, like Brussels has, then you can get far more details into scenery that you can have at this moment. On the A330, there is text on the outside of the fuselage that is less than a centimeter high, and it's completely readable. And that's only because we are using decals, which means that you have the large aircraft texture and then you place small bitmaps on top of that, and these bitmaps can have an almost indefinite level of detail. You can have text of 2 millimeters high, completely readable, on top of an A330. And that does not affect frame rates an awful lot.
Yeah, I was talking to Pyrig, who's just released Belfast the other day about this, and he was explaining level LODs to me, and it's a term I'd known, but I'd never really understood it. So between those and the decals, you really can have super sharp minutiae on things without it really having any effect when you're flying over the top or taxiing in or whatever. And that's the key to keeping good performance with high levels of detail, is it?
Yes. What is Prepared 3D is very much based on the original Flight Sim, which was a game engine from the early 1990s. And it was not really seriously updated because it needed to have a backwards compatibility the whole time. And Microsoft Flight Simulator does not have an awful lot of backwards compatibility, and the game engine, as I explained, the graphics engine, is superb. It is modern. It is state of the art. The only issue is that a lot of the developers who worked on Flight Sim add-ons did it as a hobby. Some of them became professional, but not a lot of them are professionally trained 3D artists. And to use all these options, you need knowledge.
Yeah.
It's you actually need to understand the graphics engine to make optimal use of it.
Yes.
So all the people that we hire to do modeling, they did not come from the flight sim industry, the flight sim scene, but they came from the game industry, because these people know much better how to use these modern engines.
Yeah, that makes sense. Makes sense. Right, yes. So, David Keff would like to know, is the team of Aerosoft considering a beautification of the Alaska scene?
We've got no plans on it, but somewhere on a bit of paper on my desk, the word Alaska, it's there.
That's a step in the right direction, I suppose.
Like we discussed 10 minutes ago,
Yeah.
Microsoft Flight Sim is a very much visual flight sim, and the Alaska scenery with its weather and the mountains, it is so beautiful.
Yeah, it is. I've done a bit of flying around there. It's absolutely stunning. Max would like to know, can we expect more highly detailed airports like Brussels from Aerosoft?
Yes.
Good. Can you tell us what Joe Ellensund is working on at the moment?
What Joe is working on?
Yeah.
No, I can't.
Okay, fair enough. Yes, an X-Plane question. Are there any plans to port/create or update X-Plane airports for X-Plane 12?
Yes. I believe that we are the largest Xbox add-on publisher at this moment.
Right.
And it is still, even with Microsoft Flight Sim competing like it is now, it's still a very large market. It's a commercially viable market. It's a vibrant market. The simulators being updated. So we would be stupid not to go after the customers on that market.
Yeah.
We also believe it's a very healthy thing to have at least two sims that compete with a worldwide flight sim.
Yes. Yeah, I think that is a good thing for everyone.
Plus, it works on Mac, on Linux.
Yeah. Yeah.
That said, the Microsoft Flight Sim cloud version also does. So
Does
people completely underestimate the cloud version. If I want to do a quick flight, I always use the cloud version. It starts up way faster than your normal version. Frame rates are fine. You don't have to update the sim. It's just much easier.
Yeah, I've never tried it. I'll have to give it a go. I should. Right, I mean, I've got a few more general questions to ask, just a couple. And Nick's just posted a little while ago, but he's interested to know which coding language you use when creating airports and aircraft.
Mainly the standard tools. Okay. Most of the modeling. Now, I'm the wrong person to ask because I'm not a developer. It is. I can only say that it's tools that cost thousands of euros a month per year per seat. It's the complete Photoshop scene. It's the modeling software. I'm not the right person to ask, but it is all professional stuff. You can use Blender, which is a freeware tool, which is excellent. But if you want to do professional stuff in a professional workflow, you need professional tools, and they cost an awful lot of money. The amount of money that Aerosoft spends on licenses is staggering.
Yeah, I bet it is. What have we got next? Oh yes, this is a slightly longer one, but quite an interesting one, I think. Consumers appear happy to make multiple €20 purchases for add-on airport sceneries, yet object to spending more than €80 for an add-on aircraft. Does this limit the extent of development for an add-on aircraft? Are developers more likely to fall back on default Asobo flight models and system code as a result?
Yeah, we touched that topic before. It depends. We feel very happy with the price levels that we're in with the CRJ and the Twin Otter. So between 25, 40 euros. If anything, I would say that €40 is on the high level for what we intend to do. I do not believe that limits the amount of effort, the amount of investments we can do in a project, because you're reaching a different group of customers. A larger group of customers. The amount of customers that are willing to pay €100 for an add-on like they did for Prepare 3D is limited.
Yes.
Really limited.
Yeah.
You can count them in the thousands.
Right.
Microsoft said that they had Microsoft Flight Simulator installed on over 2 million systems.
Gosh.
That's the market we're going for, and you don't go for that market with high prices. Now, that's not to say that market isn't there. If PMG or Phoenix or other companies want to go after that market, I think that's a completely valid choice for them.
Yeah.
It's just not where we feel happy in.
No, that's fair enough.
And like I said, I don't think it limits us in the amount of money we can invest in projects.
No. Okay. And before this disappears, I should read out what Stephen has said, because it's a very nice message. I just got to say many thanks to the good folks at Aerosoft for all the great add-ons over the last 20 plus years that I've acquired for flight and train simulation. Best of luck on all your future projects.
Thanks.
That is true. You have been a cornerstone of the market for many years. Right, one more, and then we'll open it up to any other questions from the chat before calling it a day. For a third-party developer, which is currently the more limiting factor? The pace and nature of add-ons, the pace and nature of additions to the sim engine, or the extent to which these are exposed via the SDK?
Neither. No. I think most third-party developers are trying to find out how much time, effort, money you can invest and still make a profit.
Okay, that's interesting.
With Prepare 3D, we reached the limit of what a sim could handle around a year after release of the 64-bit version.
Right.
And if you check the add-ons, you will see that there was basically nothing more complex, larger released after the first year of the 64-bit version.
Right.
In Microsoft Flight Simulator, time and time again, we see that we have not reached that In principle, you can have $50 million and do an add-on. In prepared 3D, that would be wasted money, because at a certain moment you can't insert more code because it would not run anymore. You can't make a virtual cockpit of 50 million polygons, because it would not work. The frame rates would be, if it would at all load, would be unusable. So we are still at the happy days of the sim, where we're still exploring what the sim can do. Yeah. And yes, the SDK is a large part of that. Certainly in aircraft, the development, the SDK is a huge factor. Yeah. But every serious developer knows that they can use the forums provided by Microsoft to talk to the developers, and most of the time you'll get an answer from them. If you have a request what should be in an SDK, they will look at it. Our experiences with that are really good. Yeah. In objects, in scenery, as you see on the screen here, the sky is the limit. I don't know what. If you want to have a sticker on that ship below you that has in a 5-point letter that you shouldn't write your name there, it could be there. Yeah. There's no technical limit that makes it impossible to do. There's no frame range limit that makes it impossible. Yeah. In this video, you're looking at an amount of polygons you've never seen in any flight sim ever. There's no other project that has this many polygons. And you see, it simply runs. Yeah. There's no stuttering, there's no hesitations, there's no artifact, it just runs.
You're clearly really excited still by what this sim can do, and the fact that you haven't found a limit, and there may not even be one for some years to come. It's really nice to see. It's very positive.
Absolutely. It's the people used to say that the heyday of flight sim was 1999 to 2005. Yeah. But it is now. We've got more customers than access to more customers than we have ever had. We've got more options. We've got the hardware. We've got the knowledge. We've got the databases. We've got so much more. Yeah.
I mean, I remember I sort of stopped fly simming after FS 2004 for a good number of years. And I loved FS 2004. And FSX came out and it didn't really work properly, and I got frustrated. And I was like, right, this is sort of over for me for now. And I tried P3D, and P3D was really good, and I got a little bit back into it, but it wasn't exciting. There wasn't a big community. There wasn't a huge future. It did feel like things were coming to an end, really, for consumer flight sim. And it's this sim that excited me again about it.
But the changes, like it was for prepared, that for prepared, if we went into a serious issue, we could actually call the developers. We could talk to them directly. They would give us advice. If we needed something, they would most likely include that option in the next release or the next update. What we need is a living platform. Of anything, we need a living platform. Yeah. Microsoft used to release a flight sim, do 1 or 2 updates, and then close the whole project. Yeah, it's the hundreds of bugs that were still in there. Yeah. X-Plane prepared, Microsoft Flight Sim, as we see it now, they are living platforms. There are people working on it now. In Bordeaux, there's a huge team of people working for Microsoft to make this a better sim. And that is what makes the difference. That is what brings the developers into it.
Yeah.
That brings the customers back.
Yes. Yeah. Very important question from Max here. What wine are you drinking, please?
Sorry?
What wine are you drinking? Max would like to know.
I'm drinking local Bergerac wine.
Oh, nice.
Cheap, and don't tell any French person because it's so warm. I'm drinking it with a cube of ice. But don't tell any French person.
No, wouldn't dream of it. I don't think we've got any in the chat. Scott would like. Oh, Fergie, sorry, I missed your question. How many hours does it take to make an airport add-on like Brussels?
Oh, you should ask Joe. Count on a year.
A year. Full time.
For a single developer.
Yeah. It's a huge investment, isn't it? Scott would like to know, Aerosoft releasing some great VFR add-ons. Will they consider the development of a helicopter?
Yeah, we've got, we did some helicopters in the past. No, at this moment I don't think that that's something that we would consider.
Okay.
For the North Sea project, we've got the biggest developers of the helicopters inside the Discord chat. The helicopter that you see now, all these people are inside the chat, so they can help us with what they want.
Okay.
To gather the knowledge that they've got to develop a new helicopter is something that I don't think will happen soon. If there is a third-party developer who wants us to publish it or wants to use our resources, like in testing and servers and documentation and all these kind of things, we would gladly sell the helicopter. Gladly. I would love to have a helicopter in our product range.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would love to have a dual engine helicopter that is used on these oil fields.
Yeah. Yeah, I would snap that up, I have to say.
Obviously.
Yeah. Numa, are there any plans on bringing the VDGS system to people that are on PC but bought an Aerosoft Airport from the sim market? Especially for SimWings Munich, it has the displays already.
Yes. There were some emails about that today. I'm simply not fully up to date on that. If they follow us on the forum, I will try to get that information on the forum next week. I simply do not know.
Okay. So keep an eye on the forum for that one. Stephen Jones is very impressed by the Marinescape product, and he'll get at least one sale. That's good. It does look amazing. I quite agree. Spletti has bought the Aerosoft scenery for Nuremberg. Good. That is a fantastic scenery. I hope you're enjoying it. Because you're asking about an Italian airport, I'm going to pronounce your name Cheltron, but I'm sorry if that is incorrect. They would like you to develop LIMC, which is Malpensa, right? I think. And I would also like that. If it is indeed Malpensa, we'd love a Malpensa add-on.
Yeah, I would love it as well. When I was working at Lago in Italy, I flew into that airport many times, often from the cockpit.
Oh, really?
Yes, I'm that old that I was still allowed inside a cockpit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would like it, but it will have to come from a third party.
Yeah. Okay. Love the last two versions of ENGM, Gardermoen, isn't it? Will there be a third for MSFS?
Sorry?
Oslo Gardermoen. Will there be a version for MSFS?
I honestly don't know if there's anybody working on that project, but because we've got a lot of developers from Scandinavia, I would say yes. At a certain moment, yes.
I've got a feeling I've read something about an Oslo. I can't remember who from, but I think someone is working on one.
Yeah.
Yes, Shpeti, we've covered the A330. So Mathijs isn't a developer. Mathijs is not a developer. He's a project manager, but the A330 is progressing nicely. I also want to say this, I'm happy with a company like Aerosoft. For years, Aerosoft's been giving me products that I love time and time again. Every time they supply us with a new product. It's really nice to hear. Where on the Aerosoft forum do you have to look for his answer exactly? This is about the VDGS, right? Yeah.
I would look in the scenery section for the type of airport.
Mm-hmm. Sounds sensible. Fantastic. Well, unless you have anything else you'd like to say, Mathijs, anything else, any little tidbits you'd like to give us before we go, I think we're probably coming to the end.
Okay. If there's no questions I can answer, people I can help.
Yeah, I mean, feel free to keep... Oh, here we are. Here's another one. Was there an update on Prague? No, we have not discussed Prague.
No, I've got no information on Prague at this moment.
Okay.
Again, I will make a note and I will ask.
Oh, here's something that I think was asked and I meant to come back to. Do we have a price for the A330 yet?
No price that is announced.
Okay.
But well, like I said, it will be in the Twin Otter CRJ range.
Right. Which product did you enjoy making the most?
Of all the years?
Yeah, I guess so.
Wow. The Catalina, I would say, because there is a Catalina based on Lelystad Airport in Holland. The people who run that aircraft helped us an awful lot. I got a lot of flights out of it.
Oh, you lucky thing.
Get to know the aircraft. Plus, it is exactly the kind of aircraft that I like. It looks like some idiot designed it. It flies like.
It looks like something out of Thunderbirds, almost, doesn't it?
Yeah. It is. In every possible way, the whole aircraft is weird, and it served a purpose. Was important in the Second World War, which was a time in history that interests me. Yeah, of all the projects, that was the one that is closest to my own heart. It should have sold more.
Yeah, I think it should. Gorgeous plane. Will there be some liveries included with the A330? I imagine so, but...
On the preview section of our forums is a list of liveries that we will include.
Excellent, thank you. And a last quick question for Mathijs. Is his wine from the Jumbo or Albert Heijn? He's in France, Nick. He lives in France now. I assume these are Dutch supermarkets.
The wine is from Leclerc supermarket and it comes in a box.
Nice.
But it is put in a box 10 miles from me.
And that is the beauty about cheaper French wines. You can go and buy wine in a box in France and it's going to be good. You do that here, not the case.
No, it's probably not going to be good, but...
not by French standards, perhaps, but by my standards, it's generally...
It's good enough for me now.
Great. Well, I think that's probably it. Nothing wrong with wine in a box. True. Good enough. But Mathijs, thank you so much. This has been really, really good. Very
would
insightful.
you be able to put my email address in the chat?
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
I can put, hold on, I can put my
Do it
email
yourself.
address in the chat.
Yeah, go for it.
Anybody has something to ask?
Yeah.
Just write me an email.
I have to say, you are of all of the developers and all of the publishers. I've always thought that Aerosoft and you in particular are the most approachable. The hours you spend on those forums answering people's questions, whatever they are, is it's really impressive how involved with the community you are.
Well, it's these people pay my rent. Simple.
It's true. It's true. It's true.
And honestly, I got to say the only reason I actually stayed in Flight Sim was because of the people. 90% of the customers are simply extremely nice people. Most of the developers are really nice people. It is a very nice industry to actually work in. So,
yeah, that's really good.
I'm a lucky son of a bitch.
Yeah, you picked a good career, I think.
Yes, I did.
Yeah. Great. Well, is your email address up there? I don't know if it's sent. I can't see it. It might be because YouTube doesn't allow people to post links. What is it? I can type it out for you.
Mathijs.Kok@aerosoft.com.
Aerosoft.com. There we go. So that's Mathijs' email address, and you can contact him with any questions, which is
if
fantastic.
there's any question, any comment, any complaint, like I say, I'm also the manager of the customer support, the department. So anything you will get an answer unless you are really impolite.
That's a low bar. That's a low bar for an answer.
A seriously low bar, yeah.
Great. Well, thanks again for your time. Thank you to everyone who's been here and asked such interesting and varied questions.
Okay.
My next stream is tomorrow at 0900 Zulu, 10 o'clock, over on Twitch, twitch.tv/Filbertflies, and we're flying the CRJ, actually, somewhere in America. I can't remember exactly where. It's going to be very exciting, so hopefully you can make that. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you all soon. Good night.